Feeling overwhelmed by a chronic diagnosis? Don't let it define you. Join me and learn how you can take control of your treatment, improve your quality of life, and empower your diagnosis. Together, we can beat this. Each week, I'll share a different topic and a free download so you can fast-track your pathway to beat a diagnosis. I'm Conrad Bly. I've beaten death twice. Now it's your turn. Find your chronic diagnosis quickly. Are you struggling to identify your condition? Or maybe you don't even know you have a condition, but there's something deep down in your inner critic just bugging you to go find out what's wrong. Maybe your significant other is saying you don't look right, or you seem agitated lately. These are all symptoms of the top 10 chronic diseases, and the majority of them are very sneaky characters. If that's you, then this is your channel. In this episode, we're going to explore how to find these sneaky symptoms, and then I'm going to give you a free guide to get you on the first step to beat a diagnosis. In the guide, I'm going to give you one short step to identify the syndrome and prepare to uncover this dastardly dude. The problem with syndromes is that they are hard to find because they're only a collection of symptoms and also signs. As symptoms and signs, they only suggest the presence of a particular disease. Or maybe they just indicate an increased risk of developing a specific condition. One symptom in its own right is not necessarily an indicator, and as you'll see later, many of the conditions have similar symptoms. So how do you find out what you've got and avoid the endless time waster of wondering whether you've got something or not? From experience, I can suggest you may well not even know you have the condition in the first place. Both my serious conditions were a surprise to me when I was diagnosed. You see, the symptoms for the top 10 chronic diseases are general by nature, and in many cases, they're very subtle. Take the top 4 conditions on your screen right now. Heart disease, chest pain, shortness of breath. Men and women often have chest pain, but it's muscular and not related to the heart. I've got chronic heart disease, yet I've never had chest pain. And who doesn't get shortness of breath, like when you're exercising? Breast cancer, fatigue, pain. Well, it doesn't get more generic than that. Prostate cancer. Urinary issues, sexual dysfunction. Well, stress can give you sexual dysfunction. I know because I survived prostate cancer. And yes, I had sexual dysfunction, but I thought that was just related to the stressful life of being a senior executive. And so the list goes on, and you'll find out a full reference list in the free Find Your Diagnosis guide in the resources section of the notes below. You have to remember, as patients, we're not trying to diagnose. We are trying to collect our symptoms and signs so that we can group them together as a syndrome. So what is the best way to find a diagnosis? Well, it's quite simple really. Get tested. The majority of the top 10 chronic disorders occur when you're over 50, which means you've got time. That doesn't mean you've got time to wait. Do it now if you are either side of 50. My first chronic disorder was prostate cancer, and I beat it metastasizing by 1 month. I don't know about you, but that's a close call. 1 month later, and I would have been fighting an incurable cancer like lymphoma. Just to make that scenario a little more scary, the COVID lockdown hit about a month after my surgery. Imagine if I'd missed that window and decided to wait for the surgery. There's not one particular test to cover all these disorders, but you have the background to take action. What I mean is that you're a certain age, a gender, you have a certain lifestyle, habits, and your genetics predispose you to certain conditions. That combination of causalities is what is called the essence of life in Chinese medicine, or epigenetics in Western medicine. For the majority of us, it's relatively easy to identify your chronic condition. And all it takes is one short step. That short step is going to your GP and asking for a general diagnostic after talking through your signs and symptoms with your GP. You'll find a short questionnaire in the Find Your Chronic Diagnosis Quickly guide with the link down in the resources section of the episode. I caught both my conditions through a general all-encompassing check using my answers from the very same questions. In the first case, I turned 50 and asked my GP to run a full diagnostic. So she ran a bunch of blood tests. I did exercise, stress tests, x-rays. We went the full 9 yards. Nothing showed up. Till my GP said, hang on. We haven't tested for prostate yet. And bingo, there it was. In the second instance, fast forward to 2023, and the company I worked for was offering an executive health check. I took it, and like the last time, everything was fantastic until a brain MRI picked up multiple foci of age-inappropriate white matter, flare hyperintensity. Basically, this is saying more plaque on the brain than I should have for my age. Alzheimer's, here we come. As it turned out, where there's one, there has to be the other. And the second ultrasound of my chest was the big one. The calcium score measures 1,649, which is at the 99th percentile of subjects of the same age. Pass go, collect $200 and enjoy a case of heart disease. Not only that, severe heart disease. But my point is, if I hadn't taken those 2 holistic tests, I probably wouldn't have been diagnosed in time. Early diagnosis is the best way to start to beat a diagnosis by a far stretch. If there's something ticking away inside your body, you want to know about it. If you know about it, you can do something about it. So if you're around the age of 50, don't just sit on the fence waiting for the unknown to take you down. Get up and get yourself tested and make it a priority. Remember, the free Find Your Chronic Diagnosis guide has a questionnaire that will help you identify your diagnosis in one short step. So get cracking and download the free guide, and we'll include you in our weekly newsletter when you can follow the story to beat a diagnosis. I'm Conrad Bly. I've beaten death twice. Now it's your turn. See you in the next episode of Beat a Diagnosis.